Hi there, Junko. My name is Ellen, and I will be correcting these essays for you. Happy to see that you have begun the essays that are part of the course. Let's take a look and see what you've done here, okay? So, the first essay is about schools being more entertaining. Let's see what you said. Nowadays, some people think schools should provide wider subjects and activities to enjoy students. However, others think it is worthwhile to only teach useful and specific subject at school. I agree with it that schools have both roles of entertaining and educating, and either one should not be missing. In this essay, I will discuss both arguments in detail. Okay, so um, I'm not sure what happened when you wrote this, but the way it came into my email is that it's just one block of text. And so I want you to get into the habit really immediately of making very clearly separated paragraphs. So maybe it was the program you used, maybe I'm not really sure what happened. But the best thing to do is when the paragraph finishes, here. So when the paragraph finishes, hit return, leave an entire line, and then start the next paragraph. Because this is something that is especially important in task 2. Examiners are going to be looking for it, and I can assure you that if you don't have good paragraphing, you will not be able to get above a band 5 for coherence and cohesion. Okay? So just keep that in mind. All right. Now, as far as this first paragraph is concerned, you you said that you agree that schools should have both rules of entertaining. Okay, so basically, you said they should have both. Okay, which is neither one should be missing. You will discuss both. Okay, that's fine. I was a little concerned about this, but you explained that essentially your position is somewhere in the middle, which is why you're going to discuss both. So that's fine. Now, I want to take a look at some of the grammar here, which had some mistakes, okay? So let's look at that. Nowadays, some people think school should provide wider subjects and activities to, this is the wrong word here. Somebody enjoys something, but you don't enjoy students. That doesn't really make sense. So to amuse students would be fine. To entertain students would have been okay. To engage, although I'm not really crazy about the word engage for a number of reasons. Let's see. Nowadays, some people think school should provide wider subjects and activities to captivate students. It's a little bit much, but it's fine. I'm trying to give you a word that fits into the sentence that you wrote here. I don't want to change too much of it, but those are some suggestions that you could have used, okay? All right, so moving along. However, others think it is worthwhile. I don't know what happened with your typing here and here. You did it in a few places. Think it is worthwhile to only teach useful and specific subjects. I didn't really like this word specific or useful, really, because somebody could easily argue entertaining subjects are both useful and specific. So this, for me, didn't feel like particularly helpful or precise vocabulary. So I would replace it. Why don't we use something else like others think it is worthwhile to teach only academic and serious subjects? So that would be more appropriate here and feels and kind of creates more of a contrast to this idea of fun and entertaining. Okay? So I agree that schools have both roles of entertaining and educating, and neither one should be missing. Okay? In this essay, we'll discuss both arguments in detail. And then that makes it correct, and it just reads a lot better. Okay? So let's continue here. To begin with, I believe that there are various types of schools focusing on educating elite for high-ranking officials or developing technical skills for their future practical work around the world. I don't really understand that, I'm afraid. Junko. Let's try it again, okay? Uh, Focusing on educating, I don't understand this. Elite for high-ranking officials? What do you mean by this? Elite people? They already are elite? I'm not really sure what this means. So, focusing on educating or developing technical skills for their future practical work around the world. Okay, that part is all right. Those educational institutions usually offer formal and classical teaching methods, such as offering textbooks and materials to students. Students just need to memorize the contents and patterns along with the textbook for the test. For example, in Japan and China, it's significantly important to get a high score in every exam if who is they, careful here, if the student really wants to enter a high leveled and good reputation university, singular, or college, singular, because you have a here. All right, so be careful of some of that grammar. However, it may be boring and difficult for some students because every learner has a unique talent and personality. Okay. Um, let's see. Is this the beginning of your new paragraph? I'm not really sure. Do you see how confusing this now becomes? So in contrast, I also trust that it is more important to include emotional educational methods in their school curriculum. Emotional educational. All right, you kind of needed to do something else here, probably an and emotional and educational methods. But I want you to be careful with some of this vocabulary because it's not really precise. Um, when we're talking about entertainment and we're talking which is the in the word in the task, it's important to find some solid synonyms or words that more or less describe entertainment. So what do we mean by this? We mean amusing, we mean fun, we mean joyful, we mean playful. These are things that are entertaining. So when you're talking about emotional educational, that really doesn't translate to the same thing, okay? So I want you to be careful with some of this vocabulary. All of these words are not interchangeable. So let's see what you wrote though. These subjects are music, art, calligraphy, outdoor activities, or group work. Okay. And it seems more needed to have the concept of entertainment at school. Okay. To concentrate students' attention and not let them be bored, it's crucial to use their creativity or imagination in class. Aside from that, it might be beneficial for students to find and expand their unique abilities and their preference through those artistic abilities. Let's see. Moreover, students might feel confident to continue their careful study even though they have good grades. However, I might not doubt that it's a large burden for teachers and schools to prepare those style curriculums because it is not the traditional educational method. All right, so let's talk about these body paragraphs a little bit. First of all, I already explained that this expression emotional is not a synonym for entertaining. Okay, so it's really important not to mix these up. I felt like your paragraph here did not cover the topic of entertainment, I am afraid. It covered non academic kinds of education. Okay, so more like arts education, but that's not what is meant by entertainment in class. Think about it. What is entertaining? It's stuff that makes us laugh, it's stuff that's fun, it's stuff that really feels kind of exhilarating in a fun, kind of playful, amusing way. Okay, so your examples here don't really fit that. What you're talking about here is essentially non academic subjects, so more artistic subjects, more creative subjects, but those are not necessarily entertaining. And I also want to remind you that some of the things you talked about, like calligraphy, while it may be artistic and creative, um, I know that it's also, and the same is true for art and music. They're, if you take them really seriously, they can be very stressful and very serious and deep and academic as well. Okay. The level of focus. So it's difficult to call them entertaining. The word entertaining has this idea of being kind of light, okay, funny, amusing, these sorts of things. So the whole idea of these things, um, being the equivalent of entertaining is not quite right, okay? All right, so let's move on to your conclusion and see what you said. To conclude, get rid of the with, okay? I trust that schools should have both aspects of education and entertainment to develop multiple skills and knowledge, as we are currently facing a wide range of issues such as global warming, COVID 19, or increasing conflicts. Okay, I'm fine with the first part of this, but I would not have included these ideas of global warming, COVID, or conflicts. Basically, because you're all of a sudden in your conclusion introducing a brand new idea, or actually three. All right. And so you need to remember that your conclusion is the place where you want to wrap up, but you don't want to introduce any new concepts, any new ideas. The only place where new ideas should be mentioned is in your body paragraphs. So, what you could have done here is you could have said, to conclude, I believe that schools should have both aspects of education and entertainment to develop multiple skills and knowledge, as only in this way will young people become the well rounded adults we need for the future. All right, so something like that is general enough that it works as a conclusion. Okay? All right, so let's move on to your next your next essay. So, this is about doing an enjoyable activity with a child. Let's see what you said. Many parents and adults believe that the phase of childhood is a precious time for developing. All right. Um, okay, developing creativity. That's what you want. So let's try that again. Many parents and adults believe that the phase of childhood is a precious time for developing creativity and obtaining the basic skills through various physical activities without the. On the other hand, some people trust. Yeah, you used this word trust like this in the previous essay. It probably should be believe. It's a little more appropriate here. Some people believe that acquiring reading skills is also crucial from an early age. Now, I've made it is because this is your subject, acquiring reading skills. All right. This whole thing, this noun phrase here, acquiring reading skills, that's your subject. And it's a singular subject because it starts with this ing. Okay. So it needs a singular verb. Um, and I don't like more crucial because crucial is an absolute, and so it's difficult to grade it. Say this is the most crucial, this is less crucial. So it's either crucial or it's not. So let's try it one last time. On the other hand, some people believe that acquiring reading skills is also crucial from an early age. In this essay, I will discuss both sides of view and reasons and give my opinion as well. Okay, now, you didn't include the task here. You didn't include what the question was. That's always really helpful. I want to see exactly how the question is worded to see if it asks you for an opinion directly. This one, I believe, does. It says, which do you agree with, or to what extent do you agree? I can't really remember. But it's very important that whatever question is in the task is answered in your introduction. If you look at the band descriptors for task achievement under band 7, it says presents a clear position throughout the response. So your position is your answer to whatever that question or command is. And throughout means from the beginning to the end. So that means that whatever your answer to the question is, it should be clear from the beginning of the essay until the end of the essay. If you want that to happen, then it's very important that you put your position in the introduction. So, in other words, if it asks you just to discuss the advantages and disadvantages without your opinion, then this is fine. But I don't believe that this is the case here. So you really do need to express your position. Also, I would avoid these multiple ands. So I will discuss both sides of view. I will discuss both points of view, comma, reason. I see where you did it. You will discuss points of view, you will discuss reasons, and you will give your opinion. Okay, so it's probably not the best way to do this because of those multiple ands. But I know that when you correct this, you're not going to say and give my opinion as well. You'll probably say, I will discuss both points of view and explain why I think ABC. Okay, that would have been a better way to do this. Let's move on. To begin with, children usually love to do fun and physical activities both indoors and outdoors. In the way of growing up, they also try to find their own method or solution while playing with others. I don't know what that means in the way of growing up. That's a little confusing. Because they also try to find their own way or solution while playing with others because they are not mature like adults. For example, my 5-year-old niece, Marie, and her friend found the colored autumn leaves on the ground and made cute dolls and animals with leaves. It was unimaginable creativity, using their imagination and hand skills with teamwork. These piled up experiences with joy will be necessary for children to become better adults. Okay, so what you're supposed to be doing here is you're supposed to be talking about how an enjoyable activity develops skills. All right. You did say that they used creativity. You did say that they used hand skills, but what are they developing? Like, did you really cover that? I kind of felt like you missed that. So while I loved the example of your niece, you do need to really tighten up your focus. Okay? So I felt like this sentence really didn't help you. It wasn't focused essentially. It was just kind of general and it wasn't as precise as it needed to be. So let's talk about what you could have done in this paragraph. This also doesn't really tell us what the central idea is. And that's another thing I want us to talk about. Your first sentence of your paragraph has a specific job, and it's essentially supposed to tell us what the central idea of the paragraph is. So what you could have done here is something like, to begin with, when children play with others, they can acquire a number of important life skills that cannot be gained from reading alone. For example, my 5-year-old niece with her friend made cute dolls and animals with leaves from the colored leaves she found in autumn. This type of activity is a wonderful example of how children can develop creativity and also improve fine motor skills by drawing on the leaves, etc., etc. Okay? So you need to show that they're developing skills here. Okay, they're developing skills. And you also have to explain how these skills could not be accomplished through reading alone. Okay? All right, let's keep going. On the other hand, some trust that not only, there's that word trust again. Also, I want to suggest to avoid using on the other hand like this. You're really supposed to only use it if you have on the one hand here. Now, here I let it slide when you used it, but essentially that's the rule about using on the other hand. You have to use both of them together. It's not like a mix or match where it's like, oh, I'll use one but not the other. You're supposed to use both. Okay. And yeah, so there are a ton of other expressions, though, that you could have used to show contrast. So you could have said something like, that being said, or let's see, or in contrast even would have been okay. All right. So again, there's that word trust, which I don't agree with. I don't agree with the use of this word. I would have said, in contrast, some believe that not only enjoyable activities, but also reading skills are also not inevitable. All right, that's the wrong word here. Are also necessary, are also required, something. Also, you have to remember that if I'm not mistaken, they're not asking about what other people believe. They ask about what you believe. So avoid this some here. We're not concerned with what other people think. We only want to know what your opinion is. So what you could have done here and said, that being said, not only are enjoyable activities necessary, but reading skills are also. Okay, that would have presented it as your opinion. So in this current, can't really say in this current globalization, you could say, in our modern world where globalization abounds, or well, I don't know if you really want to use a globalization. How else could you say this? In this current climate of globalization would have been okay. That's all right. Yeah, let's try that. In this current climate of globalization, understanding letters and context is also, this is awkward, look, is important skills. Not really. So understanding letters and context is an important skill for survival, especially in developing nations. You can see I'm omitting some of these words that make it inaccurate. Compared to fun activities, reading may be an individually boring activity. I don't understand this. What do you mean individually boring? Maybe you mean a I think what you're trying to say is that it's a boring activity for one person only, but you can't explain it like this, individually boring. Um, Maybe you could have put a comma. You could have said a boring comma individual, or oh, this is even better, a boring comma solo activity. That makes sense. However, through obtaining reading skills, people can understand the context in their brain. I'm not sure I understand that. And know the unfamiliar world. Moreover, to develop human resources and nations, reading is essential for all types of people. Okay, so again, are you talking to us about developing skills? You tell us what people can do when they read, but you didn't really tell us what skills they're developing. So that's my concern here. You needed to do more of that. You needed to talk about how it allows us to imagine worlds we don't know. It allows us to think about concepts. It allows us to develop imagination because we kind of, fantasize and create these images in our head of what these places and people look like and sound like. It develops vocabulary. Okay. And of course, it develops writing skills as well, because a person who reads often typically becomes a person who writes well as well. So, those are just some ideas about what you could have said. But remember, this is all about skills development. You're not talking in general, oh, hey, reading is great. Oh, hey, look at this. Fun activities are great. No, we're talking about them from a very specific prism. And this prism is whether or not they develop skills. And so that's what you need to talk about. All right. In conclusion, both enjoyable activities and reading books are essential for children. Get rid of that the. I believe that if there is either lack of necessity, I don't understand that, people will be facing difficulties when becoming adults. Okay. I believe if either are missing, children will face difficulties when adults. That is probably a little better. So, Junko, I like what you're doing here. I see you're using the template. I see you're definitely working hard to do well on these essays, and I think you're off to a good start. I think you need to work on task achievement, okay, to make sure you're really focusing on the question and what they're asking you, all right, and make sure that you're carrying that idea throughout the essay. And I also think you need to work on some of this grammar. There were a few places that you may notice I said I didn't understand what you were saying. You want to be careful with those, because that means that you're losing some coherence and it's creating a strain for the examiner. So you don't want that to happen, okay? Those are going to keep you from getting one of those better scores. So keep up the good work. Keep writing. Let's see more work from you, and I'll be waiting. Good luck.